Hi guys. Welcome back to another video. Today is gonna be a little bit more of a serious conversation. Uh, and honestly, things that I've kind of been wanting to talk about for a while, but I didn't want to bring negativity to my online space that I've started making, especially because I'm a really new content creator, or well, new at least in the sense of I've consistently been doing videos this year and a little bit of last year. And I apologize, my webcam is like always right in front of me, but I have two monitors on the side, so yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to fucking look at the camera directly. But YouTube. this I have been doing YouTube unofficially on and off for 8 years. I've had several channels before this channel, and I have wanted to be a YouTuber since I was 9 years old. And I have recently made strides that I have only dreamed up as a kid, even though I'm still really small, like as a creator, and in general, my community is pretty small. And honestly, I like that. And I think if I do ever um make it big as a creator, then I'm going to miss my tight knit community that I can like conversate one on one with. Just like watching other YouTubers talk to their communities, and not just YouTubers but Twitch streamers as well. And that's what a lot of this conversation about today is YouTubers and Twitch streamers, and how it feels as a small content creator who's been wanting to do this since they were a little kid. I'm 20. I'm 20 and I've been wanting to be a content creator since I was 9, and I feel like I've been putting in the work for it since I was 9. Looking up everything I can. I was obsessed with YouTube, and I still am obsessed with YouTube to this day. But I'm also really disappointed in how some things are being handled in the communities, and it's just been a very long year in general, guys. The first thing I want to talk about is Twitch. TwitchCon just came and went. And I was actually planning on going, but I did not have enough money to go, so I kind of decided to sit on Twitter and kind of watch TwitchCon from afar. As I think most people who can't like really go to events like that, they're gonna watch the streamers do it, they're going to like watch the people they like doing it. And there were plenty of people that had a good time at this event. Except for except for one incident that had happened on day one of TwitchCon. A big streamer by the name of Imaru got assaulted, and Twitch staff um didn't really react at the time to it. And from the updates that I know, apparently Twitch is working with the police right now to do something about it, but they weren't updating Emaru on it. They weren't letting her know anything, which can be an issue. I feel like anyone who has went through what she went through deserves to feel safe in their own homes, or to feel that closure of like that person getting justice. And honestly, women streamers also get targeted a lot on the online space. I've seen it for most of my time on the internet. Women creators, or just women in general, being on attacked or like said horrible shit to in online communities. And oh, sorry. It's just kind of it's kind of sad because people very much, I feel like women in online spaces, especially in online spaces, are very vulnerable. And many people will just call them sensitive for getting overwhelmed by certain things or getting upset about certain things. And there's just no way that you can justify what happened to Imaru and possibly think, oh yeah, TwitchCon. I trust myself to go to TwitchCon. I remember seeing that day one of TwitchCon and being like, and I almost went. I almost went to that. What would have happened to a smaller creator was something that she had brought up. I'm a smaller creator. I was even thinking about that. What if something similar happened and it was worse, like someone wanted to hurt her or even someone else? And then that person was just allowed to walk away. There is literal clips of him walking out of the building. And honestly, like take it with a grain of salt as you do everything with the internet, but I just think all of this is ridiculous. And this isn't even covering like the other allegations like involving Twitch's CEO. I don't know anything about that, to be honest. I have just been following things to do with like certain creators because I look up to a lot of these creators as well. Or like I really like watching their videos or their streams. So I'm in the know about a lot of situations because I am a big YouTube nerd. This goes on to my next thing is Imaru's allegations against Miskiff. I watching the clips from both of them as someone who isn't even part of like a lot of those groups and whatnot. Miskiff isn't looking very trustworthy as far as I feel. I cannot imagine being Imaru right now and dealing with such a horrible, horrible situation, but I have to think about it because that could happen to someone like me one day, you know? And sitting here and just saying, oh, there's no proof, oh, there's nothing to go off of, when there is. There definitely, to, she has receipts, and I don't see how what she gets from ruining Miskiff's reputation. And this is just me talking in general, just to get it off my chest and get it out of my brain, because I'm sitting here and I'm watching all this stuff happen, and I have opinions on all this stuff, and it's just very sad to watch and see someone so very much so affected in the past 2 years, in the past like couple of weeks, you know. I feel very bad for Imaru, and I hope she's genuinely uh past all of this for the most part, because I honestly cannot imagine getting harassed by anyone's communities over literally nothing. Like dating is such a tricky thing to do as a content creator for from what I've seen over the years of me being on YouTube and watching Twitch streamers. So anyone who has like the has the energy to do that, like I just got to say props to them for trying to make it work. And I hope Imaru isn't lying, because that kind of would suck. Honestly, after looking at everything, I don't think she's lying. But if Miskiff does come out with something, showing that she isn't being truthful about what she's saying, then I will be very disappointed in general. And I just hope that everyone decides to be truthful in the circumstances that are happening for both of their sakes at the end of the day. I think it makes you look worse if you sit and lie. Now, moving on from that kind of drama, um, I gotta talk about my experiences as my own creator and stuff for the past year and a half of me doing YouTube. YouTube kind of feels very where you're sludging through to like try and reach an audience and try to reach people who will like what you do genuinely for what you like to do. I remember this past year I've been working very hard to like teach myself how to edit and to make my content better for people and do that without being clickbaity or over the top or dramatic because I miss old YouTube. I grew up on old YouTube. And a lot of that was like very improv, like there wasn't as much scripting. Like say like Minecraft 360 videos for example. I loved that shit as a kid. I waited all the time to see my favorite content creators like post their videos and I would watch their videos for hours and eventually I fell in love with it to the point where I wanted to know how to do it. And so I did. I genuinely started like looking into how to edit and how to like how they made their thumbnails and how they talk to each other. I didn't even know Discord was a thing for years until around 2020 and it was I think like some creators did Skype before as well. And I remember thinking that this was so magical and that people working together to make content was such a very cool thing and I remember believing that everyone was friends with each other that they worked with and just seeing the stuff going on this past year, I know that's not true. And I've kind of known that wasn't true for a couple of years now. As I've gotten older and as I gotten more into YouTube and watching like creators talk about their experience on YouTube or even Twitch. And it's scary to think that like the way that people expect me to see this stuff is as a business thing as much as possible. And I do see it as a business thing to a very certain extent, but for the most part, I see it as my passion job or my passion dream to follow. I was 9 when I started wanting to do it. And it's weird, like, trying to make new friends that don't understand that as well. In my own personal life, I've had a lot of people that I've met very much so discourage me from being a content creator because they think that it'll turn me into a bad person or a selfish person. And that kind of sucks considering how much passion I have for this job and how much YouTube helped me in my own life, which is partially why I wanted to do it is to make other people's days so much better like it did for me. And it being on the internet taught me so many good skills and good things and I used to be very awkward socially and now I'm doing so much better because I met people on the internet who would teach me how to do it. But I also understand that many people's experiences are bad. In fact, I've had many bad experiences on the internet growing up as well. And for some reason, I still have the passion to keep going. But I understand why many people really don't like certain things about the internet. And to sit here and say that those aren't valid reasons to not like the internet would be bad. But I think it's the fact that, like, every time I try to make friends, they are like, oh, so what do you want to do for work? And I'm like, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm working on being a YouTuber. They're like, you shouldn't do that. I don't think it's worth doing that. I don't think you'll make it as a YouTuber. Or even worse, they'll like oh, so you're just doing it for the money. And I'm like, no, I don't make money on YouTube. I'm not monetized and I haven't been monetized for over a year. And they're like, well, isn't that the end goal? Is to be monetized? I said, no. My I don't really have an end goal for YouTube because it's my dream job. I do have goals I want to reach. I want to, like, for example, I haven't talked about this. I wanted to reach 500 subscribers by the end of the year. But I haven't done that, and I'm not really that disappointed because I think I've learned a lot about YouTube this year, and I have 100 subscribers, or a little over 100 subscribers right now, and I think that's really good for someone who's only been doing YouTube for this year, at least for this channel. Like I mentioned earlier, I've had, I want to say, two other channels before this. So I've been doing YouTube on and off for 8 years, and I think I've learned a lot this year, more so than I have any other year I've been doing this. So I'm not by any means like new to this space, but I am new in the fact that I'm very small, I guess. Which is fine. I like it. I think being small teaches you a lot. But it's really scary getting started on YouTube. Especially when you're like sitting down and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna take this seriously as an adult. I'm going to be a content creator as an adult. I want this to be my job. I want this to be my passion. I want this to be my life. It is terrifying. And you get a lot of judgment from people who are in your personal life or just in general. But I've also met some people who are very supportive of me. So please don't think that like everyone will be judgmental. You will find people who will support you in what you're doing. But and I'm still speaking on behalf of on or in the mindset of someone who hasn't made it really past 100 and something subscribers. So, you got to keep in mind that like everything that I say is definitely just my own experience with YouTube so far. Oh man. Another thing that I think I struggle with is being one of the only content creator friends that I know. So I have a decent amount of friends and I love them and they're very supportive for the most part. But I think like sometimes it sucks like being the only person I know being a content creator, or at least like in the way that like I don't just post TikToks or just post pictures on social media. Like I edit and I, make videos as well because I feel like I'm kind of learning everything from scratch by myself, and for the most part, I am. Like, I know a lot of people who give me advice, they're like, oh, make your thumbnails like clickbaity. And I don't want to do that. I really don't. I don't. My editor doesn't want to do that. I love my editor. He's a friend of mine who supports me in my dreams, and he's my part-time editor, but he makes all my thumbnails for my channel. So shout out to him. He's great. He makes all the thumbnails for my channel, and honestly, like, he's a great friend. But but it still kind of sucks. Like, sorry that I stutter so much. By the way, I'm just thinking about how to say this because I only have vague notes on the things I wanted to talk about today. But I think being a small creator sometimes can feel isolating to a certain extent because you're still building your own community. You're trying to make yourself more known. You have to actively make the choice to try and put yourself out there on the internet, because if you don't, there's a very small chance of being discovered. But definitely it's not like you can't be discovered. Let's take people like Rambo for example. I love Rambo, by the way. Great creator. I love them. Um but they got discovered and blew up kind of out of nowhere because they have a great personality and, it's great. Um, but that was in like way back in like either 2020 or 2021 where like the big boom of like content creators started coming in and YouTube started to feel like oversaturated. I've heard people say that. I feel like the only thing that feels oversaturated about YouTube is not the fact that there's a lot of content creators, but the fact that there's a lot of slop AI content or slop content in general. And it kind of like as a new creator, you really try to avoid those kind of things, or at least I have. I can't speak on behalf of a lot of new creators, mostly because I don't really know a lot of new creators. But I personally want to avoid slop content and just make videos I would be proud to sit down and watch through. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Like basically, if I haven't watched through a video after I'm done editing or my editor's done editing. If I can't sit down and watch through the whole video, I'm not posting it. Personally, like if I can't even watch my own work, I won't post it. And that's my standards for what I have going on for my YouTube channel at the moment. Um yeah, but sometimes it just feels like a lot of people have really short attention spans. And so I've had some people go look at my YouTube channel and then be like, your content's too long to watch. Nobody wants to watch a 30-minute video anymore. I was like, yeah, well, I kind of kept in the parts that I liked, personally. Like, I'm looking, like, I guess, like, as a creator, you're trying to look for your audience, but I'm looking for an audience that likes what I do. Not like how I pretend to be, not the mask that I'm putting out on the internet. And there's nothing wrong with a creator putting a mask on to separate their IRL self from their online self. I understand that as well for privacy reasons and also like so you don't get bothered as much. But besides like that kind of stuff, I don't see a point in like pretending to be a very highly energetic person when I'm not, for example, or like to be overly reactive when I'm not always like that. I try my best to be very authentic in the way that I play games, for example, or even interact with my community. But I think people are very used to seeing creators' masks, and they don't understand that sometimes smaller creators don't really have those masks as much. Though I have seen smaller creators online, like not personally, but online, like where you can kind of tell where they're trying to keep up a very high paced persona for their videos and whatnot. I think for the only time that I really get very energetic or expressive is when I'm talking about things I'm very, very passionate about. For example, I've had people tell me, "Oh, you talk too much. You're too loud," or when you're talking about things you like. So I've been having to work on slowing myself down talking, for example, like to people. Mostly because I am socially bad sometimes. Like so, but I will get better, and I hope like me talking about these issues, like if you're wanting to be a content creator, you'll feel less uneasy seeing it from the perspective of someone who's still like working on their YouTube channel actively. Um and another thing I want to talk about is why I don't post as much as I used to and also as not streaming consistently. And the simple answer is I'm sick, but I don't know what's wrong with me fully. Not really that. That is something that I feel like I have to explain myself about. But sometimes I feel discouraged to myself because I had a very set specific standards for myself. Not really based on other people, but based off of what I know that I could get done. And before I was able to post like one video like either once a week or every 2 weeks. To the point where like even though I've only been doing YouTube for like a year and a half, I have 79 videos up. That's pretty good. But that's also I think that's also including live streams as well because I was live streaming a lot on and off and I want to so badly do that more, but there some days that I just cannot make myself. I'm just not good at consistency sometimes. And the number one thing that like a lot of YouTubers will tell you when you're like trying to get big on YouTube or trying to be seen on YouTube or trying to get a community on YouTube is that you have to be consistent. You hear that about anything, and when you're like kind of like ill and you don't even know what's wrong with you, it's hard to do that. And I am going to see doctors. I do see professionals about my issues. So don't worry about that. They just really haven't found out what's wrong with me yet. And that is also perfectly fine. But in case people are wondering, so I don't get like a million questions, I'm almost like tired to the point I can't function most days. And you're probably like, oh, everyone gets like that. But when I say I am tired to the point where I can't function most days, I mean, I literally can't. I can't make myself do anything. Unlike some people where like they can make themselves get up and go to work or go to school, I can't do that. Even if I had that responsibility, unless I very much so guilted myself into doing it, I would not be able to push through and do it. And it sucks a lot because I feel like I'm very passionate about my job as a YouTuber. And I do consider this to be my job. But at the same time, I have to take multiple day breaks just to finish one video that's barely even like 30 minutes long altogether. And it sucks sometimes. It really does, but I'm still gonna do it. I love this. And th- this brings me to my next conversation topic. It's whatever is wrong with me is so bad that I cannot work a physical job. I get very tired very easily just walking around, and even like trying to exercise. I like for 2 years I tried to build up my tolerance to exercise and walking and all this stuff, and it didn't work. And multiple times during those 2 years I had fainted overexerting myself when I was just going on casual walks. I wasn't even running. I wasn't even running. And it just kind of it's just the kind of stuff that people, I guess, will not see unless you're told. Because I look healthy. I seem healthy. But I'm not healthy. And I don't know why. So I hope that like me talking about this will be beneficial to someone out there. And if anyone has questions, I have my Discord like open to the public and also whatever else. So, and if you're a content creator watching this, hi, I'm Zane or Zane the Noob One, and I would love to get to know you. I would love to like interact with someone in my community and try and maybe do a collab, like play video games, like whatever. Like I am open to community, and like this is me putting myself out there officially on my channel. So, yeah, I think like this kind of conversations are really important, especially for smaller creators. I think if you're a smaller creator and you haven't thought about a lot of these things and whatnot, I think it's time you start thinking about them a little bit, because there's always going to be that chance where you blow up or you get a shot and you don't know how to handle a situation. So I hope that this helps someone who is my age or even like at the point of their YouTube channel where I am. And I hope everyone has a really good day. And the rest of this year, rest of the holidays are rough. So please take breaks, take care of yourself, and remember that you're not alone in anything. And if the internet feels too overwhelming sometimes, take a break. I will talk to you all later. See ya.